Welcome back to another video. It's another day, and another day to be done in another way, but in the same way, in the sense that I am going to be here filming this day for my vlog. Because, in case you didn't know, I have a daily vlog, and you're watching it. If you'd like to know what it's all about, it's very random, and it's a mishmash, a collection of thoughts, and occasionally, if I'm in a good mood, I'll do something a bit strange. And every now and then, I'll read a book. Or I go out somewhere. But it's basically just following me in my daily life. My life. Not even daily life. Just my life. Whatever it is that I'm doing. My life that is not mine. Because life belongs to no one. And life belongs to everyone. So I can say my life, but it's just a colloquial term. You know what I mean by that. But I'm not that person. I don't claim any sort of sense of ownership over life as being belonging to me. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. No, no, no. No. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. 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 So I'm having a realization as I speak now, as the way that the depths of ourselves unfold as we are talking, we realize that we find ideas, voices. There's other people living inside of me, and they're telling me what to do. That's how I feel sometimes. It's like growing into a pair of shoes that's too big for you. When you're a kid, you put them on. They're too big. There's some space at the end. And then as you keep growing, then your toes touch the end of the shoe, and then you can feel it, and you go, oh, I can feel the end of this shoe now. I've been growing, and now I've touched the end of the shoe. That's the metaphor for how it feels. I talk, I talk, and I talk, and I talk, and I talk. And then that's the growth. And then before I know it, I find out that me, what I think of as being me and my mind, has been inside the mind of somebody else. In a way. And now I've just grown to the point where I touch the edge and go, oh, it's you. And then after that, those two people in my head can start talking to each other, start asking each other questions, start figuring each other out, start just having a nice casual chat. And then, over time, a union occurs. And because these are not physical beings, they're spiritual beings, souls, spirits. They merge their identities and become one. And they do that again and 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 again. And this merging process is what we call spiritual development. It's how the substance of the soul, that which is you, which you cannot relate to the body, simply just the body itself. The essence of the I, the one who can say, I am aware that I have a body. I am aware that I can see. Who is that I? The awareness. That's the soul. That's the spirit. That's the spiritual element of who you are, of who I am. And that lives with or without this physical form. This physical form is like an adopted child of the spiritual soul. Anyway, welcome back to another vlog. It's vlog number 31. No, sorry. It's vlog number 32. 32 is what I always used to say as being my lucky number when I was a young man. And the reason for that is because I grew up in house number 32. And I'll tell you where it is, because I don't live there anymore. And no one I know lives there anymore. But it was 32 Shaw Street in a village called Culcheth, in the town called Warrington. And that was where I was born. In this lifetime, I must add. My inner Indian. Anyway, I'm making a pie at the moment. I started making one meal, and then I thought, you know what, I'm hungry. So I started making a meal to eat while the meal that I was making was cooking. So I had a bowl of rice with corned beef. And very good, very nice. I want to say £1 fish. And now I've got a pie waiting for me in the kitchen. So I'll show you it. Okay, come with me. I'll show you it. Have a look at this. Pie, 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 pie. It's a pie in a tin. If you are not from the UK, you may not be aware that there is such a thing as a pie in a tin. However, I'm not calling you ignorant. I may actually be the ignorant one myself, because there may well be pies in tins in other countries across the planet. I'm sure that there's a pretty good chance that there are. But just in case there aren't, I'll just explain that this is a pie called a Fray Bentos pie. And they come in a tin, like a tinned food, right? And they look like this. This is the tinned pie. See how they're all stacked up on a shelf? Tinned pie, pie in a tin. So you open it up with a thingamabob. What do you call that thingamabob? You open it up with a tin opener, just like you would a can of tuna or a can of chopped tomatoes. And then you just stick it in the oven. And there's no bottom to the pie. It's just, you have to eat it out of the tin. But it has a puff pastry lid to the pie on the top of the pie. So that is the explanation of the pie. If you'd like to hear more, please visit our website. iamanIdiot.co.uk. Good pie. Here's my thought. I'll share it with you. Oh no, that was a fart. If you never strive to achieve anything, then you never have to wait for anything. But if you never strive to achieve anything, then you have nothing to look forward to. This is my dilemma. How do I solve this? I don't know. These are my favourite socks. They're made by Vans. And it looks like I've got a chessboard on my feet. And it's not just any chessboard on my feet. It's a Vans chessboard. Here's why Vans are great. You know why? Because skateboarding. That's it. Well, surprise, surprise. If it isn't you. Again. Watching my video. You're always watching my video. What's that all about then, hey? I'm not talking about things anymore. Now I'm just dancing. Pointless. Blank. 0. 1. If you want to know what it is that I actually do, I just sit here and just watch YouTube videos right now. If you actually want to see what I actually do, then watch my other videos where I talk about it. If you actually want to see what I actually do, you are now seeing what I actually do. Do you understand life? If you do, good. If you have questions, good. If you have ideas, good. I have nothing good to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. Today. To the people who are asking, no answer. That's everything. If you don't understand, it's not because it's not understandable. If you don't understand, it's currently 1:18 a.m. and I've got to say, right now, I'm very excited. But I'm actually too excited. I have the same thing that happened yesterday. Yesterday, I tried to go to sleep. I lay there for about an hour. And I just kept thinking and 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 thinking all these super exciting thoughts about the future. And I'm just doing that again. And thinking 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 and thinking. It's like an episode of The Simpsons. And thinking 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 and thinking. All right, I think you get the point, right? I shaved my face. How great. I'm happy with the results. You know what? I actually like the way I look. I say I actually like the way I look because of what I'm thinking. What is that happens when you just picture some person who you have no idea who it is, and you think about what they would say about you or something, and then you feel like you have to respond to what some person that you don't even know and that is just there in your imagination would say. Isn't it just torturous the way that other people seem to have the ability to just get in our heads? It could drive you crazy. Anyway, I'm thinking about doing my Facebook more often. I've only got like how many friends have I got on Facebook? I don't know. I think 2 or something. I had this Facebook for about 3 years. Almost never go on it. Only signed up because I had to. But recently I started considering using it again. So I'll put a picture of me up there. I'm feeling so much better recently. Got way more motivation. And I can see lots of great things happening again. I sort of lost my vision for a while for seeing what's possible for my life, and just sort of stopped thinking big. But I don't think I stopped. I think it's sort of something that sort of comes and goes, isn't it? It's like a feeling or a way of thinking that you sometimes get on like a streak or a stride of being super ambitious and thinking of yourself doing great things. And then there's other times in my life where I've not really been interested in that at all, and I've just been way more focused on the day to day. I'm definitely not adverse to like great things happening, but I mean, great things have happened, and I do often get the feeling of like serendipity where situations occur and then you just think this just feels right. and you just sort of know to go with it. You either think like, oh, this is the person, or whatever. It makes sense to me. I think I need to stop really questioning like who's going to agree with what I'm saying. It's like a constant thought for me. It's like everything I say. It's what I was just saying before. I picture like people agreeing with what I'm saying, and I picture people disagreeing, and I'm constantly sort of bouncing back and forth. And in my speech and everything, I'm trying to respond to what I'm imagining is going to be said, and none of it's true. There's no point in giving any time to that sort of imagination. Like, just respond to IRL situations. But what do you do with those thoughts? They're not pleasant. They have like they don't feel. There's not a good feeling about them at all. It's like an invisible. It's like an invisible influence that is attempting to make its voice heard to me personally, and I'm just in a room on my own. I don't like that at all. I really don't. I don't want to have to think those thoughts. I don't want to have to consider all that. I'd like to be able to just be free in my mind. It's okay. I'm making a lot of progress, but I think because it feels like a lot of like a lot of the energies that I've already absorbed previously, they're all just filtering down and falling down as I've run through my thoughts, and I'm trying to not let them have any effect on me. But some of them seem to get in, and some of them don't. They're just like thoughts, like pictures, images, but there might be like the written words associated with it. It's like the idea of a person, but it's something that I sort of see clearly. Not a hallucination, but I guess an imagination, but not an imagination that I want at all. It's not nice having an imagination sometimes. I just like to be free of it all, just blank, and to have like my own like thought processes. But I've got a question like, how much are these thought processes related to what I'm thinking anyway? Is there a connection? I'm constantly trying to create a disconnection, but I sort of have to take them into consideration because they're there. So it just naturally occurs that I start to think about what the picture is showing me. It's complicated. I wish someone would understand this that I could talk to. I'm sure there are people that understand this that I could talk to. I remember when I used to be able to talk very simply in this way, just explain exactly what's going on. It's a process. I'm not struggling nearly as much as I used to be. Now I've really got to grips with a lot of it and got to understand like how to process these thoughts, how to process these uh, imaginations, these pictures, these ideas, these images. I'm much better at processing them now. And I've also just got my life sorted out in a way that I didn't used to, maybe. But obviously, that's just what comes along with time and maturity and like going through more and more situations. But it's all in God's plan. I mean, I do have faith. I trust. I've always been a firm devotee of Ganesha in particular. For whatever reason, I've always had that connection. I actually believe that I was in a previous lifetime. This was like a whole story or a thought that came to me one day, and it seemed to make perfect sense. And it was very odd the way this happened, right? But I made friends with these two guys, and I felt really instantly connected to them and very, very familiar with them. And one day I just started having all these thoughts about it, just like appeared to me in my mind, like just like a memory, and it seemed real, obviously, just so apparently true. And I was like, I was like an elephant um, in India, and I was like a famous elephant that used to like travel around with like a group of people, and they take this elephant around, and people would come to see this elephant. And I think that's where the elephant connection came from. That's why I had the Ganesha connection, because I spent a whole lifetime doing that. And in India, like Ganesha is the elephant god. So there's a certain level of like grace that I've just carried through my life now in this lifetime. And it just makes everything okay. You know how Ganesha is like the remover of obstacles? It just so happens for me just over and over and over and over and over again. Like these absolutely unexplainable events where everything, every problem I have in my life just gets solved in one swift move. And then it's like it all goes back to just everything's great again so quickly. And I feel like that's a lot of that's come through this like Ganesha connection that I have um, because of this past life where I was an elephant. So yeah, believe it or not, but this is what I think. I'm telling you my real honest thoughts here, as bizarre as they may sound. But your real and most honest thoughts are quite bizarre if you admit that. Again, I'm trying not to think of, well, here's what other people would think. I seem to do that constantly. It's like I'll just say something, and then it pops straight into my head. This idea of what someone else would think, and it comes with like an image of a person, and it comes with like their thoughts that contrast with mine, and then I find myself trying to explain how not to be like that or something. And now I keep noticing that I'm doing that, and I really want to stop doing that. I am stopping doing that. But I'd like to reach the point where I'd like have become aware of all those times and moments, and then trained myself not to allow any of that stuff in. Because it comes with like a very noticeably demonic sort of feeling every time. It's always like the voice of the opposite. Like whatever I'm saying, if it's all making perfect sense to me, it's like there has to be an image that appears that's and it's someone's just demonic energy that's trying to, you know, prove that I'm not right or something. I don't like it. I'm not sure what to do about it. It's a very distinct thought process. I'm not okay with it. If I could stop that from happening, I would like to. I'm not sure what I can do about it. My thought processes go to so many different places, and I'm not really like rooted in reality a lot of the time. A lot of the time, I'm just completely like lost in like a fantasy, but not even aware that that's what I'm doing. I remember a lot of people when I was younger, they used to always call me a dreamer. They always say you're a dreamer because I would always just seem like I'm not paying attention. And I think it's true. I'm so much better off when I'm really present and I'm focused and I'm aware and I can see clearly just the physical world that is around me. And I don't have this picture running through my mind, or I'm not fantasizing about whatever. I mean, it's such like an organic sort of thing. It just unfolds, and like before I know it, I've completely lost control of my own self, and I'm just you know away with the fairies, so to speak, lost in thought. And then every now and then I just notice, like I've just been thinking this whole time. That's the kind of thinking that's not good. I do agree with that. I'm not sure if there's an off switch though. It'd be nice to find out that there was a way. I get this like very much sort of paranoid sensitivity sometimes about trying to dodge certain words, like as my stream of like thinking unfolds before my awareness. And then I start to sort of speak. I'm just like reading the words that I'm seeing. There's lots of times where it's like certain words will pop up as like that could be the next word. But I'll have to try kind of to not connect with it for some reason. So it's like I can read it, I can see it, but I can't say it. And I'm not sure why that is either. There's so many different like layers and levels to thoughts. But cultivating awareness is most certainly one of the best things you can do for reaching a state of like peace of mind, clarity of mind. You start to hear how you sound. You start to see what it is you're saying. And I always question where it's all coming from. Like all these thoughts, these things that I'm saying, where is it all coming from? It is very much like I'm reading from a page that is like a magical page that the words just seem to appear on. But who's writing it? If I'm reading it, then it's not me. Who's writing it? Or I guess there's always this like fractured sense of self where there are there are different personalities all existing together and they're interacting somehow. And like the accumulation of all of that is what makes me me. But I always do think about what I've heard before, which is if I am aware of that, then that is not me. I am the one who is aware of that. It cannot be me. I am the awareness that can see any idea or concept of what I refer to as me. I am consciousness, I'm awareness. I can see all that it is that I think makes up the sense of self. But who am I without all of that? The one who sees, not that which is seen. But then the next question is, Can the seer be seen? If so, by who? Consciousness that is conscious of consciousness, awareness that is aware of awareness. Where does a personal sense of self come into that? Where is the I? Where is who I am? I become convinced by those ideas of who I am that appear, but it's not that I'm not aware of them. Woogity 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 woo. I just woke up again. It's 9:05. It's Sunday. You know the first thing I thought about when I woke up this morning? You know what it was? It was London. Again. Always thinking of London. Spend so much time thinking about London. Missing the place. Missing the people that I was with when I was there. Missing the way of life. The joy of it. The beauty of it. The simplicity. When I was in Fulham, in particular, that was when everything was just perfect. Some coffee. If I knew what I actually had then, I would never have left there. But I had no idea. I was naive to it. I was naive to how great it was. Because I was just so young. There's everything to compare it to. When I say it, I mean like the way of life, the quality of living, the surroundings, the pleasantness of it. It was so very pleasant. Living there. And that's why I always think about. That's why I always think about going back there to London. That's why I'm planning to go back. Just because I can remember how good my life was. But I'm not going to be able to go back in the same way. I don't have I don't have oh, I'm trying to drink this coffee, hang on. I always start off a bit slow like this when I first wake up. It takes a bit of time to get my flow. Yeah. I don't know what it is that I'm missing in particular. It was very much like a simplicity that took me there. I've said this before, but when I was younger, I just followed along. I didn't really make many choices. It was just like one thing led to another, and everything just happened. And before I knew it, that's where I was. It never really took any effort to get there. There was no real moments that were like mentally strenuous. I didn't have to want anything. I didn't have to desire anything. I just followed along what just seemed so obvious. And because I was in close contact with so many people, it was so straightforward. It was so apparent what the path was, what choice I was going to make, what I was going to do next at any given moment. Because it was almost like I didn't really have a choice. And then it was like at some point, my ability to follow along in the direction that I was going in willingly. It was like that just got scrambled. And then I became like, I became really defiant in a way that was like very unpleasant. I stopped being nice, a nice person very quickly. And there's a part of that that I can explain. There's a part of that that I can't explain. But I feel like a general sense now of like regret in choosing to give myself over in a way to a different way of thinking, because I lost a lot of what I had going for me that was good. And I ended up just handing it all away, like willingly, not really seeing the value of what I was giving up and what I was trading it for. I didn't really have the idea that I was deciding to trade what I had for something else. I didn't really see what was going to come. I just decided I was going to give up on everything that I had. And now I just want to go back to the way everything was when it was all great. And I don't seem to be able to shake off that feeling. It's something I just think about all the time. This regret. It's a bit like having the rug pulled from under my feet. Um, and I think it is inevitable now. Knowing what I now know, I shouldn't have thought that it could have gone any other way. But I don't think I should have been set up to have reached a position where I'd been fooled into thinking I had this ability to just keep increasing my value. I remember a point when I realised, like, oh, my parents aren't going to be able to help me with this. That was maybe all this whole realisation was. It was like I had the support of my family all the way up until I didn't. And I didn't realise how quickly I was going to find out just how alone I really was. And that I'd basically been lied to. I've basically been duped into believing a falsehood. And now I'm really glad to have found that out and to be able to see through it and to realise how that created the fall. That's how I picture my life up until a certain point was just all happening so well. And I was so happy. I was so incredibly happy. And then at some point there was like a fall from grace. And it's like I just became a completely different person. And I didn't like it, and the people that I knew didn't like it. But I stopped caring like I used to before. And I stopped listening like I used to before. And I hadn't quite adapted. I hadn't quite, what's the word? I hadn't quite developed my adaptability that I feel like I now have. Where I can not just get stuck on an idea of what I think I want and I listen to other people and I'll change what I'm thinking if someone else comes up with a better idea. I didn't really used to have self-confidence in my ability to handle uh, disputes, disagreements, conflicts, uh, and so I used to just have this like single-minded focus of thinking that I'm going to do whatever I want. But it turned out not to be a good thing because I think I lost the trust of a lot of people. And I just stopped being nice like I was before. I think I was really a nice person mostly. But I got influenced negatively. I got encouraged by a particular person that I'd met. not to be like that. And I feel like she really tried to make me into someone I really didn't want to be. And that was what I ended up being. And I didn't feel good about myself. So it was all like a trick. And they were successful in tricking me into losing like the good qualities that I had in such abundance. There's so many things now when I look back, and I just really wish that I'd done differently. But if anything, I now get the opportunity to try and to change what I can change, to fix what I can fix, to apologise to those who need to be apologised to try and get back on track, back to what it was that I really cared about. And this time, I think that I'm much less capable of being misguided and misled into becoming the kind of person that I don't like, I don't want to be. I think I'm going to do a better job this time around. But I am sad that the friend that I had in particular at the time was probably what I thought of then as like my best friend. We haven't spoken in such a long time. We have spoken a little bit within like the last, I think it was about last year I spoke to him. Just for a little bit. But I think once I get back down south, I'm going to try and catch up with him. The good news is that I've managed to regain the connection that I had, the ability that I had to just return to simplicity. Like what I was talking about when I was younger, when one thing just led to another and I just followed along. That was when everything worked out for the best. That was when everything just was just magically amazing. But I didn't even know that at the time. I didn't even have the awareness to say that. I was in such a good place and I had no idea. So I didn't appreciate it. I guess now I would say like I was raised in a bubble of protection, and that because I was living in a bubble, oh, it was just like the story of the Buddha, where he lives such perfect life, but it's almost like he has no un, no understanding of what's out there in the world. So he has to go out there into much worse situations, basically homelessness, wandering about until he finds what it is he's looking for in terms of a change within himself. I see a correlative to that story with my life and the way it was. But I guess the Buddha didn't eventually settle on thinking, oh, I just want to go back to when everything is good. But maybe he did do that at some point on his journey, I don't know. Anyway, basically, I'm trying to explain just the story of my life, the way everything went, and I've probably made it quite vague because I forget to give people context for the video. But what happened is I went to university in London, and ever since I left London, I've thought about being there constantly. And I just keep thinking, I want to go back. I want to go back. I've got, I've got all these, I've got all these dreams. I've got all these dreams that I had for my life, and I didn't manage to see them through. I want to go. I want to be able to go and live the life that I want to be able to go and to live the life that I dreamed about before everything fell apart. And it's taken such a long time. Hang on. I think I got like a hair in my mouth or something. Um, it's taken such a long time. Looks, oh, it's taken such a long time to put everything back together since it felt like it all just fell apart. And it's been a crazy roller coaster ride of its own. Um, but things did not go my way for a substantial number of years. I just could not get my own way, even if I wanted to. And it seemed like no amount of trying got me anywhere at all. And I don't know what it was that made me seem like this impossible investment. I kind of know what it was. I think I was much more unstable, and I might have seemed like a risk to other people. Even though I wasn't. I think a big part of what I'm explaining was I was it's the process of going from being like a kid to being a man, and being like a 6'3" man. I remember there being a shift where it's like I stopped being seen as, you know, fun, friendly person, this kid, this teenager. And then you start to be seen as like tall, big, 6'3" man. And people start having to think about like how they might have to deal with you if things get physical. And so they just want to keep people away that they think of as being like potentially threatening. I understand that. I'm not potentially threatening at all. I never have been. It really, really, really deeply saddened me to realise that was a process that I was going to have to go through, was people seeing me in the way they did. And I've come to terms with it now at 32. And it's not fair at all. But I think it's time now for me to find some redemption and to start winning again in life, the game of life. I'm not taking any more losses now. Everything that was good that I had going for me, it's all coming back. And it's coming back in spades, tenfold. I'm going to have more than I ever had before. And I'm going to have more to give back than I ever have had before. I'm going to try and do as much good as I possibly can with what I have. It's not just about me. I do want to positively impact and change the lives of other people. And I really want to help people who've actually been through similar life situations to me. People who've been affected in similar ways to the ways I have. I really, really care again now. And I often think about people who might be struggling in the same way that I was, and I remember it so well. And I just don't want to let it happen. I've got to do something. I've got to be able to be there for people like that. I have to be able to be a friend to those who are lost in the same way that I was lost, and knowing how desperately I needed a friend at that time is a feeling that I'm never gonna forget. I'm never gonna forget the way that felt. I'm never gonna forget how it felt to feel so completely alone, and it was like all the people who had sold me the sales pitch, told me they loved me, just pulled the rug out from under my feet and showed me just how two-faced they were, just how evil they were. You don't abandon people that you care about, do you? And you shouldn't just leave. You shouldn't just leave people to live their lives alone. If you care about them, if you love them, I think all it is you don't really love them. You might say you love them, but not really in the way that they need you to or they want you to. And maybe it's about what I've heard people talk about is there's different love languages for different people. Some people, I guess, want or look for one kind of affection, and other people look for a different kind. But for me, at this point in my life, what I really look for is, or what I really care about is closeness, and people checking in with me, people showing me affection, people telling me that they care about me. I got used to the idea of being alone because I realised what it is that I needed to do to make everything better. But in those times where I didn't know what to do, I really, really wish there was someone there for me. And there just wasn't. The people that I'd put my trust in and my faith in, they were just thinking about themselves. They didn't even want to know where I'd gone, what I was doing. And I wasn't in the habit of updating people on anything. So I just went quiet for quite a while. I wasn't communicating. I didn't have a goal. I didn't have a life goal. I lost hope. I didn't know what was going to happen. And I was still following along one thing after another. But it was like now I was doing that in a different direction. And that meant becoming a different person. And not liking it, but embracing it. I think eventually when I actually discovered the emotions that were there and I managed to process them, then it all became okay in a way. I have to accept that it is what it is. But I'm not doing that so easily. Because I'm just not satisfied with the story, with the explanation that I've been given as to why this all happened to me. I still feel like it shouldn't have happened. I shouldn't have had to lose anything to learn anything. But I do realise there's a negative cycle in life. And there's, to some degree, I'm following along the negative cycle in the same way that I'm following along with the positive cycle. I think embracing the duality of this, seeing both the positive and the negative, and taking both, working with both, it makes it easier. I think what I wasn't doing at one point was I wasn't accepting the negative. And so I was being confronted with it constantly. And that that actually made me able and capable of learning how to deal with it. And as much as I can keep saying that I still don't, I still wish that I didn't have to go through negative experiences that I didn't like. Now that they're etched into my memory, I've got to find a way to work with them just as memories, because once you've lived your experience, that's now the story of what happened, whether you like it or not. That's still the story. And so I have to work with that story, whether that's something I'm happy about or I'm not. Anyway, I think I'll bring this rant to a close soon, but I just woke up with the memory and the feeling again of just the surroundings of Fulham, of walking around and feeling this beautiful sensation that's just present in the air. Like, I was really touched by magic at that point in my life. And it was a great blessing. But, like I said, moving on now, I've been blessed in such a great way. And I'm seeing myself now going back to where I was, not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And then reclaiming my power again. I'm going to be fulfilling the lost dreams and goals and ambitions. The ones that I didn't manage to bring into reality, but that I thought about all the time, and that we used to talk about and fantasize about for hours and hours and hours, all those years ago, in those bedrooms of the houses that we rented, and all the different places that we lived. So great stories, great memories. I can't believe what 10 years will do to you, and just how long that is, and how much happens. It is quite amazing now, having the perspective to understand it. Anyway, I need to charge this camera. Alright. It's 11:19 a.m. What I gotta do is take the clothes out of this and then put them on this. Seems like pretty standard stuff, right? Especially for a Sunday, as today is a Sunday. I don't know if the sun is joining us on this sun day. As I've not been out and about at all yet today. Don't think I went out either yesterday. I did go out the day before yesterday. It's quite unusual for me to have a single day where I don't leave the house at all. Really, ever. At least that's the way I've been for quite some time. Is that I go out every day. But I think as of late, I've had a little bit of a sea change in my patterns and behaviours. And I started experimenting more with the idea of trying to stay indoors more instead of trying to go out. Now, it doesn't really matter, to be honest, what I do. And I have no real preference as to staying in or going out. I think it's all just completely dependent upon a feeling or a thought of some kind. So, I guess the phrase that I'm using a lot past couple of years is there's a season for all things. And I'm also reminded of a quote that I heard said, which is that the great way is not easy. The great way is not difficult for those who have no preferences. And I like that one a lot. I apply that to lots of different situations. And I have to just apply it to my own self, like the way that my mind has been infected by other people's like dirty thinking. And so I have to clean areas of my mind that have been taken over by just these kind of like sick, disgusting ways of thinking that is all just related to an idea of wanting control. And if you have no preferences, then where is the desire to control either yourself or another person? Because you have no preferences. It's only when you have a preference that you might try to influence somebody else or yourself to try and think or act differently. Because you want them to do something different to what it is they are doing. Why do you want that? because you have a preference. So that phrase comes to me sometimes after having heard it many, many times. The great way is not difficult for those who have no preferences. So, yeah, that means that anything that happens is okay with you. If that were true, then you'd live life just so free and easy. There would be nothing that could happen that you could feel like you're against it or you're wishing it away, and even if you were to feel against it and to be wishing it away, then that too would just be okay for the one who has no preferences. I don't know if it means to have no standards. But what I take from that phrase is, don't try so hard to control anything. Just let it happen. It's easier to live when you're not trying to get your own way. You have to try to get your own way only within the realm of that which is completely under your control. And for that is basically just, well, where do I go? When do I go there? The physical movements of your body, the things that you say. But even those, for some people, feel like something that's at times outside of their own control anyway. You feel compelled to say things that you wish you wouldn't. You do something without thinking, without wanting to do that. But yeah, that quote can be interpreted in many, many ways. But it's a good one. I think it stands true and it holds true through many different kinds of analysis. And I'm not buying into these ideas of how to oppose that statement, how to create a logical counterpoint. I'm not interested. I don't want to. I'd accept somebody else trying to do that. But I don't really find that interesting a lot of the time. Coming up with just a counterpoint for the sake of trying to disagree. fundamentally out of some kind of personal feeling about who is saying what. That's a game I've stopped playing. It's a good game to stop playing, because then you can actually win back your peace of mind. And if that's not more important to you than anything, then your priorities are very mixed up, which is understandable, but not desirable. Now, doesn't that sound like I am now even myself going against that idea that the great way is not difficult for those who have no preferences? I have a preference that people should consider that statement rather than just disagreeing for the sake of disagreeing. This is the evidence of the proof of the complexity of the mind, but it's not complex in a way. It's all so obvious to many. Is the dichotomy of if X then Y. As soon as you say something, you're doomed to become a hypocrite. It's just a matter of time as to when. And sometimes it just happens very quickly. And that's called comedy. That's what people laugh at. That is the essence of comedy. And for those who take it seriously, it takes much longer. And they have to see a new pathway through all their psychological forms. How do you do that? Well, you don't really. You can try and change your mind and fail, or you can just not try to change your mind, but that's just what happens anyway. It's like a little sapling of a tree that's like saying, I want to grow to be 100 feet tall right now. It's very ambitious, but the only way to get there is for the days to turn into weeks, for the weeks to turn into months, and for the months to turn into years. And then you look up at this big tree and go, wow, how beautiful. There's no other way but the long way, but the real way, but the natural way. There's no forcing change. There's no forcing growth. You can create you can create and cultivate a habitat to protect the experience of that growth, but can you speed it up? A lot of the time the answer is no. Now, this is the essence of the scientific method, is to ask questions like this and then try to find the answers. So the question is, do you apply a scientific method to yourself? Or do you just carry on with your life path, whatever that is? I'm getting out of this whole system of thought that's been indoctrinated into well, not all the people, but me personally. I've been indoctrinated with the concept that I should, for some reason, be able to make things happen instantly. A completely unrealistic expectation. One that is not possible, one that is impossible. One that does not take into consideration the scope and the breadth of life that is outside of my personal control, which is basically everything. Basically, almost everything that exists is outside of my personal control. And I don't want it to be inside my personal control. I don't have this demonic desire to be in charge of the universe. That's not me. I'm not a dickhead. I hope this dickhead knows who I'm talking about. Okay, we're going to read a little bit of the book Wild Thing, The Short Spellbinding Life of Jimi Hendrix. I'm on page 14. Oh no, sorry, I'm on page 15. On 27th of November 1942, she gave birth to a boy at Seattle's Public Harborview Hospital. I'm still experimenting with the reading. It's becoming so much more interesting to me. To see the way the words break down and you can see the patterns in them. And you can hear words and take words and apply them to other words. And the way that words can change. The way that you can wait, hang on. The way that you look at a word can change. You're looking at a word. It looks like one word. It can become something completely different. It can become anything. It can become everything. I think that's truly what they meant when they said, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God." I'd like to just repeat that. In the beginning there was the Word, and the Word was God. What does that mean? If you get it, you get it. The Word itself is God. The words themselves make up all things. The words themselves come from a higher place. Without words, we are just primates. There's a theory that at some point in the evolution of human history, that there was cross species between those which were more intelligent. It means nothing. I mean, it's all star stuff. But what is the point and purpose in thinking when you can see so clearly what it is that you think? And to see clearly doesn't mean to not be absorbed in the ever shifting, ever changing, shape shifting nature that seems so apparent but is often quite difficult to explain. That's not getting in the way of clarity. Clarity is there. That's just the driver that motivates, changes, creates changes, sees the continuation of the exploration and the adventure of life that we're all part of. And may it never end. May it keep changing. May new forms appear and disappear. But may that be an everlasting endeavour. One that continues forward. What I'm explaining here is how the Word is God. That was what was said. In the beginning there was the Word, and the Word was God. What was the Word? Was the Word God? Or was God the Word? The Word itself has intelligence within it. The Word itself has multiple dimensions. The Word itself can mean anything, can mean everything, when you can see it through the lens of understanding. They look to appear and disappear because the meanings change. The meanings don't change. It's just that each and every individual's personal interpretation of the word itself is subtly different. When you hear someone say a word, if you're really listening, you can hear what it is they mean. And it's not always what you think. This is how language can be communicated directly. It's like having a drink which isn't mixed like a whiskey and coke. It's like just taking it neat. It goes straight to the system. It's a dart hitting the bullseye on the board. The intention was there. The intention was there, and the delivery was perfect. That's how the word is. But then, that word, those words, are played with as if they are toys to be played with, which they are. We have language available to us, and we are lucky enough to be able to play with words. You know what that means? It means we have a game that we can take part in. We have a game that we can take part in. That for as long as we can speak, we can play. For as long as I can speak, I can play this game. What is the game? Take a word, play with it, change it, make it into another one. Create the halfway point between the halfway point of the halfway point between this and that. And then do it again. And then do it again. And then do it again. Keep doing that. What happens? Words open up and appear and continue to expand. And the consciousness that is associated with those understandings blossoms and flowers in such a beautiful way. It's like the spring of the mind, of the soul, of the heart, the joy and the beauty that can just erupt from you so freely by just exploring the dimension of the meanings of something so simple. That which we take for granted, our ability to speak. So, these streets, these avenues, are endless. You can see, well, here's the beginning of this one, and here's the end of this one, and that's called Savile Row. There's the next one. Where does it begin and where does it end? Can you show me the precise point? And if you show me that, what if we look closer? Where is that point now? If you say, there it is, I say, okay. Then we look closer again. Where is that point now? If we keep going, there will be a point that occurs where you say, I can't see the point where this begins, where that ends. I can't define the boundary. I can't measure this position. It's not possible. Why is it not possible? Because the tools that you have at your disposal, the tools that you have at your disposal of the senses, they can only keep looking closer and closer and closer. Until what? Until there is nothing that you can see, no boundary. And that is why I always say, there is no beginning and there is no end. There is just a seeming continuation with apparent beginnings and ends. And they have relative meaning because we have apparent size and shape and form. Do we have shape and size and form? Actually? Is it possible to declare that as a fact? It is. And if you do it with a smile on your face, I say fair play and respect you. But these are just questions to consider. And they free the mind. And the point was, just like the streets and the avenues that have no end, so too do the words. So too do their meanings. So too do the explanations. So too do the continuations. And so too does the ability for those words to change and 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 change. Now, what do all those words mean? Do they still have meanings? Do you have to rethink all of that? Will you be left with anything that makes sense? Do you now have to adopt new concepts? Is there a way out of this? Do I want this process to continue? Will it ever stop? Important questions. But the value is in understanding whatever it is that you see is not there. You think it is, but it's not. And there is another side to the other side of that. The concept itself can be turned inside out. And then, what do you see now? A whole new world. Because words make worlds. That's why. Words, a single word, one word, the word, can destroy one universe and create another. What is a universe? A word. This is the play that I'm talking about. These are the dimensions. You have to keep looking into what is there And when that's finished, walk away, continue your life. No issue. If you want to play the game that I play, you have to be able to transmutate all of these experiences. Take it all, work with it, become the alchemist. Switch words, change the world. Act differently. Life continues, but better. Stop thinking. Start creating. And then work on words. Work on words. Make it all it has to be. There's no stopping this train once it's on track. The engine is fueled. The controller is pulling the lever. It's going to go whether you're on the train or off the train. It's not going to stop existing the way it does just because you're not getting on it. So you got to make your mind up. Are you on or off? And if you're on, you're going wherever the train's going. You have to understand this basic concept, the logic of that. I'm not going to stop being the way I am just because you're not on board this train. This train is me. Choo choo, motherfucker.